Way back in 1961, before our favorite Marvel superheroes came into being, be it Spiderman, Wolverine, or Iron Man, Marvel released their first ever superheroes who would be the counterparts of the DC comics. Marvel was not a superhero-centered comic until the legendary writers and artists Stan Lee and Jack Kirby decided to create superheroes who would be more humane and relatable, with their mundane problems, realistic flaws, and remarkable powers. These were the Fantastic Four, namely Human Torch, Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Girl, and The Thing. Although there has been an abundance of Marvel superhero adaptations on the large screen, the Fantastic Four movies have not truly made their mark. We are here with all the Fantastic Four movies ever made and unmade. But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Fantastic Four, 2005. A physicist named Dr. Reed Richards believes that millions of years ago, Earth was impacted by clouds of radioactive energy in space, which triggered evolution. During his research, he discovers that one of these clouds will soon pass near Earth and convinces his former MIT classmate, Dr. Victor Von Doom, now the CEO of Von Doom Industries, to let him use his private space station to test the effects of the cloud's exposure on biological samples. Victor agrees, provided he takes charge of the project and receives 75% of the profits. The team consists of Reed, his astronaut friend Ben Grimm, Reed's ex and Victor's current girlfriend Susan Storm, a genetics researcher at Von Doom Industries, and Susan's brother Johnny, an ex-astronaut. Due to a miscalculation by Reed, the cloud appears earlier than expected while Ben is outside planting the samples. Susan, Johnny, and Reed try to assist Ben, but Victor closes the space station's shields to protect himself. Ben is exposed to the cloud's radiation, which also affects everyone inside the station. The team survives the exposure and returns to Earth, but they soon discover that the radiation has altered their genes, granting them superpowers. Reed becomes Mr. Fantastic, able to stretch his body like elastic. Susan gains the abilities of the Invisible Woman, including invisibility and force field generation. Johnny transforms into the Human Torch, with the power to become fire and to fly. And Ben becomes the Thing, a rock-like creature. Ben's fiancée, Debbie, cannot accept his new form and breaks up with him. Distraught, Ben inadvertently causes a major traffic accident on a bridge, but the Fantastic Four work together to resolve the situation. Their actions make headlines, and they are dubbed the Fantastic Four. Reed vows to find a way to restore Ben to his original form. Reed develops a machine designed to reverse their transformations by replicating the conditions of the storm they encounter. Meanwhile, Victor's company suffers significant losses due to the failed mission, and he becomes increasingly bitter and enraged. He discovers his own abilities, including the power to turn into a metallic alloy harder than diamonds and control electricity. Using his powers, Victor creates misunderstandings between Ben and Reed, leading to Ben leaving the group in anger. Reed tests the machine, but it malfunctions due to insufficient power. Victor, monitoring their activities, tricks Ben into using the machine and harness his electric power to activate it. This restores Ben to his human form, but accelerates Victor's own transformation. Victor, now calling himself Doom, kidnaps Reed and tortures him, launching a missile at Reed's lab. Johnny diverts the missile's path, saving the lab. Ben, using the machine to return to his rock form, arrives with Susan and Johnny to rescue Reed. A battle ensues between the Fantastic Four and Doom. Ultimately, they defeat him by subjecting him to intense flames followed by cold water to induce thermal shock, freezing him in place. In the aftermath, Ben comes to terms with his new form, and the group decides to continue as the Fantastic Four. Reed proposes to Susan, and Victor is later seen being transported to his homeland of Latveria. Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, 2007. This is the sequel to the 2005 Fantastic Four movie, set 2 years after the events of the first film. As Reed and Susan prepare for their wedding, a mysterious silver object flies through Earth, creating craters in various locations and causing power outages and weather disturbances wherever it goes. On their wedding day, the silver object heads towards New York, causing an electricity malfunction. A helicopter crashes into their wedding, and the Fantastic Four save everyone, though Susan is upset that her wedding has been ruined. Johnny uses his powers to pursue the silver object and discovers that it is a silver humanoid on a surfboard, known as the Silver Surfer. Johnny is overpowered by the surfer and taken into the upper atmosphere, where his fire extinguishes before he is thrown back to Earth. Johnny survives and lands safely. When Susan arrives to examine her brother, their powers accidentally swap when she touches him, attracting a crowd and causing chaos. After they swap back to their original powers, Reed discovers that Johnny's encounter with the surfer has caused a passive flux in his molecular structure, allowing him to temporarily switch powers with others. This briefly restores Ben to his human form, which he uses to tease Johnny. Reed also learns that all the previous planets the surfer visited have been destroyed. The military arrives with Victor, who has been freed from his frozen state due to the surfer's visit near his hometown, which also helped him heal. Victor offers to help the team deal with the surfer and deduces that the surfer's power comes from his surfboard. Reed creates a pulse generator to separate the Silver Surfer from his surfboard. While the surfer is distracted by missiles sent by the military, the team successfully imprisons him. The Fantastic Four are not permitted to meet the surfer, who is being held in Siberia and tortured for information. However, they believe the surfer is not as malevolent as he seems, given that he saved Susan from the missiles instead of killing her. They secretly assist Susan in sneaking into the surfer's cell using her powers to communicate with him. Susan learns that the surfer serves a cosmic entity named Galactus, who survives by consuming life-bearing planets. The surfer is preventing his own world from being destroyed by serving Galactus, and his surfboard functions as a homing beacon that will soon guide Galactus to Earth. He also reveals that he saved Susan because she reminds him of his wife. Meanwhile, Victor attacks the military, steals the surfboard to harness its powers, and escapes to China. The Fantastic Four rescue the surfer and confront Victor in Shanghai. Victor attempts to kill the surfer with a metal spear made of cosmic energy, but Susan intervenes and is impaled through the chest. Johnny absorbs the powers of his teammates to battle Victor and manages to break his control over the surfboard. Ben then uses a crane to knock Doom into a harbor as Galactus arrives near Earth, consuming Saturn on his way. Susan dies in Reed's arms, but the surfer regains his powers after retrieving his surfboard and uses it to revive her. He then launches himself at Galactus with Johnny's help and renounces his service to Galactus. This results in a massive explosion, which seemingly destroys both Galactus and the Silver Surfer. Following these events, Johnny discovers that he has healed and can no longer swap powers. Reed and Susan finally get married in Shanghai before rushing to save Venice from sinking. In a mid-credit scene, the Silver Surfer's body is seen floating in space, and he opens his eyes, revealing that he is still alive. Fantastic Four 2015. This film is a remake of The Fantastic Four, featuring a new take on the origin story with four teenagers who gain superpowers. Reed Richards and his childhood friend Ben Grimm have worked together on a teleporter since they were kids, and are finally ready to present their mini teleporter at their high school science fair. Although their teacher dismisses their project as cheap magic tricks, Professor Franklin Storm is impressed by Reed's ingenuity and offers him a scholarship to the Baxter Foundation. Reed is assigned to assist Franklin's daughter, Sue Storm, and his son, Johnny Storm, in developing a quantum gate designed to transport them to another planet. Victor Von Doom is also recruited to the team, though Franklin is wary of him due to his past issues with Victor's research and his destruction of previous data on the quantum gate. As the group works together, they form a close bond, while Victor becomes increasingly envious of Reed and Sue's relationship. After extensive research and testing, they successfully create the quantum gate and send a monkey to the planet they name Planet Zero. However, the Baxter Foundation's supervisor, Dr. Allen, decides to send NASA scientists to the planet, ignoring the team's desire to use the gate first. Frustrated that others will take credit for their work, Reed, Johnny, and Victor decide to use the gate themselves, bringing Ben along to share in the achievement. Upon arriving on Planet Zero, they plant an American flag, which causes the ground to rupture and expose a glowing green substance underneath. When Victor touches the liquid, it erupts violently, prompting the group to rush back to their shuttle. Victor falls into the chasm and is left behind as the others return to Earth. Upon their return, the quantum gate explodes, causing a citywide blackout and exposing Sue to the radiation. Reed awakens to find Johnny engulfed in flames and Ben trapped under debris. He discovers that his own legs have become elastic and tries to crawl out, only to pass out from exhaustion. Reed wakes up tied up in government custody, where his abilities, along with those of his his friends are being studied. Johnny can engulf himself in fire and fly. Susan can go invisible, generate force fields, and turn other objects invisible. And Ben is transformed into a rock-like creature with superhuman strength. Using his powers, Reed sneaks through the facility vents, finds Ben in his cell, and promises to find a cure before escaping alone. Over time, the other three become government assets, their abilities honed and used for various military projects, with the promise that the government is working on a cure for them. Meanwhile, Reed has become a fugitive, dedicated to finding a cure for Ben. Sue locates Reed and, manipulated by the government, helps send officials with Ben to capture him. Ben, believing Dr. Allen's lies that Reed abandoned him, refuses to accept Reed's apology. Reed is forced to work on rebuilding the quantum gate in exchange for the facilities needed to find a cure. Once the gate is refurbished, Dr. Allen sends a team of scientists to Planet Zero, aiming to enhance the military with superpowers. They discover that Victor is very much alive and has been transformed by the planet. His spaceship is fused with his body, and he has developed telekinetic abilities. Victor, now calling himself Doom, has embraced Planet Zero as his home and seeks to destroy Earth to prevent future human invasions. He kills all the scientists, including Dr. Allen and Professor Franklin, before returning to Planet Zero. Doom creates a portal on the planet that functions as a black hole, threatening to pull Earth into destruction. Reed, Sue, Ben, and Johnny arrive to stop him, and an intense battle ensues. The Fantastic Four work together to defeat Doom, with Ben finally throwing Victor into the portal's energy beam, which disintegrates him as Johnny closes the portal. After saving Earth, the team demands freedom from government interference. The military awards them their own personal scientific base to study their abilities, and they officially adopt the name Fantastic Four. Unmade movies. Despite some released movies, Fantastic Four has a list of unreleased films that failed to reach the big screens for different reasons. The Fantastic Four, 1994, unreleased. Before the first Fantastic Four film was released in 2005, an earlier version was produced in 1994, but never officially released. Produced by Roger Corman and Bernd Eichinger, both known for their low-budget work, this film was made primarily so Eichinger could retain the film rights. Despite never being intended for theatrical release, pirated copies of the film began circulating in 1994, and it has since become available online. In this 1994 version, Reed Richards is a college student living at a boarding house owned by Sue Storm and her mother. Sue, a teenager with a crush on Reed, and her younger brother Johnny, who's still a kid, are part of the story. Reed and his college friend, Victor Doom, are working on an unnamed machine. Despite Reed's warnings that they are not ready, Victor decides to use the machine on the day a comet named Colossus is set to pass near Earth. The experiment goes disastrously wrong, resulting in Victor being electrocuted and presumed dead, while Reed is rescued by his friend Ben Grimm. 10 years later, Reed and Ben recruit the now-adult Johnny and Sue for a mission involving Reed's spacecraft during the comet's next pass by Earth. They plan to use a special diamond to protect themselves from the comet's harmful cosmic rays. However, unbeknownst to them, a thief known as the Jeweler has replaced the real diamond with a fake one. When they fly into space, the spacecraft is exposed to harmful radiation, causing it to explode and crash land on Earth. Miraculously, the team survives and soon develops strange abilities. Sue becomes the Invisible Woman, Johnny becomes the Human Torch, Reed gains elastic powers as Mr. Fantastic, and Ben transforms into the Thing with a rock-like body. It's also revealed that Victor Doom survived the incident, having been genetically altered. He now calls himself Doom and sends men posing as Marines to capture the Fantastic Four. They are placed under the surveillance of a doctor while Doom plans to steal their powers to enhance his own abilities. The team realizes they are in Doom's custody and works together to master their powers and escape. After their escape, Ben leaves the group, frustrated with his new form, and joins a homeless man in the lair of the Jeweler. Reed discovers that their abilities reflect their true personalities. Reed stretches himself too thin, Susan feels invisible due to her introversion, and Johnny is as hot-headed as his fiery powers. The film introduces Alicia Masters, a blind sculptor from the comics who falls in love with Ben despite his appearance. She is soon kidnapped by the Jeweler, who wants to marry her and present her with the stolen diamond. Doom steals the diamond and takes Alicia hostage. Before her capture, Alicia confesses her love for Ben, motivating him to confront Doom. Strangely, Alicia's confession restores Ben to his human form, making him vulnerable to Doom as Alicia is taken taken away. Frustrated by his weakness, Ben reverts to his rock-like form and rejoins his team. Doom has warned the Fantastic Four that he will destroy New York City if they do not surrender their powers to him. As expected, the Fantastic Four unite to defeat Doom, who falls from his castle while laughing maniacally. The film concludes with Reed and Sue's wedding and the Fantastic Four dedicating their lives to fighting evil. You might not be surprised to learn that this was a low-budget film, with Eric Wurst contributing $6,000 from his own pocket to fund a 48-piece orchestra for the soundtrack. Most of the budget was spent on creating Ben's impressive costume. Additionally, one of the special effects personnel falsely claimed expertise, and by the time this was discovered, the budget was exhausted. They adhered to the something is better than nothing philosophy, resulting in some amusing special effects. Despite these challenges, the film is a humorous watch and doesn't take itself too seriously. Fantastic Four. The Ant-Man director Peyton Reed, a huge Fantastic Four comics fan, aimed to create a visionary film adaptation before the 2005 film was made. He spent around a year working on this project with multiple writers, envisioning it as a period piece set in the 1960s, akin to the Beatles' 1964 musical comedy A Hard Day's Night. Unlike the trend in the released films, this version wasn't going to focus on the origin story of the heroes. Despite Reed's dedication, he realized that Fox had a different vision for the film and eventually left the project. Reed incorporated some of the elements he had envisioned for Fantastic Four into his later films, most notably Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. He found parallels between the familial bonds in Ant-Man and those in Fantastic Four. Just as Fantastic Four explores the relationships between Reed and his wife Sue, Reed's best friend, and Sue's brother Johnny, Ant-Man delves into the relationships between Scott Lang and his daughter Cassie, as well as Hank Pym, his wife Janet, and their daughter Hope. Additionally, Kang the Conqueror, a character in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, is revealed as a descendant of Arthur, who is Reed Richards' half-brother. In the comics, the relationship between Scott Lang and the Fantastic Four is depicted in Marvel 2-in-1 number 87, where Scott assists the Thing in a subatomic dimension. He also provides technical expertise when Mr. Fantastic is believed to be dead. Eventually, the Fantastic Four get trapped in the negative zone, and Scott creates a new version of the team. Although Reed had to abandon his favorite heroes during the creative process, he managed to revive their spirit in another film. Fantastic 2. This was intended to be the sequel to the 2015 Fantastic Four film, planned for release in 2017. However, due to the 2015 film's poor box office performance, the sequel was canceled. The sequel was set to feature a new director and a larger budget, blending humor and action. In the planned storyline, the Fantastic Four would have discovered that Victor had made a deal with Galactus to destroy Earth. The previous cast, including producer-writer Simon Kinberg, was prepared to return for the film, though Toby Kebbell expressed reluctance to reprise his role as Victor. After several delays and changes in the release date, the sequel was ultimately scrapped when Disney acquired Fox, along with the Fantastic Four rights. Dr. Doom. The screenwriter and producer Noah Hawley, best known for writing the series Fargo and Legions, announced at the 2017 Comic-Con that he has been writing and directing a movie with 20th Century Fox based on Dr. Doom that would revolve around the main protagonist of the Fantastic Four films, Victor Von Doom. As Disney's acquisition of Fox began in December of 2017, Hawley revealed the uncertainty regarding the film in 2018 and 2019. The project finally got shelved when Disney finished acquiring Fox in 2019. In his interview with Deadline, Hawley remarked that the movie is done and he is not working on it anymore. Silver Surfer. Silver Surfer was introduced in the 1960s with the Fantastic Four number 48, and has since been associated with various superhero teams and animated appearances. He made his film debut in the 2007 sequel to Fantastic Four. Even before the release of the first Fantastic Four film in 2005, Fox had planned a Silver Surfer film in 1988. However, due to delays in the production of Fantastic Four, this idea was postponed for a decade. After the release of Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer in 2007, J. Michael Straczynski was hired to write a spin-off featuring Silver Surfer. Straczynski's script was intended to pick up right after the events of Rise of the Silver Surfer, where Silver Surfer is shown floating in space and revealed to be alive. The script would have explored Silver Surfer's origin and provide more details about Galactus. However, the idea was not well received by fans and critics, and with Rise of the Silver Surfer performing poorly at the box office, the film was canceled. personal opinion, the film was not that bad and could have helped keep the Fantastic Four franchise alive if given the chance. It was reported that Fox had secretly been working on a Silver Surfer spin-off with writer Brian K. Vaughan in 2018, following the poor performance of the Fantastic Four reboot. However, similar to many Fox projects, it was also canceled after Disney's acquisition. X-Men and Fantastic Four crossover. Writer Zack Stentz confirmed that he wrote a Fox-Marvel crossover script where the X-Men and the Fantastic Four would battle each other. The film was envisioned as a mega battle, featuring characters like Wolverine, Deadpool, Daredevil, and the Fantastic Four, with Wolverine going head-to-head against Reed Richards. In this script, Johnny Storm would have caused collateral damage during a fight with Molecule Man, leading to a debate that resulted in the passage of the Superhero Registration Act. Despite Fox holding the rights to many notable Marvel characters, this crossover film never came to fruition. Instead, Fox chose to focus on separate projects, such as the Fantastic Four reboot and X-Men Days of Future Past, following the success of X-Men First Class. As a result, this ambitious crossover remains on Fox's list of never-made films, depriving the Fantastic Four of their deserved spotlight. The Fantastic Four First Steps 2025, upcoming. Despite the Fantastic Four franchise's history of poorly received films, the upcoming Fantastic Four film offers a glimmer of hope for fans. Scheduled for release in 2025, it will be produced by Marvel Studios as the 37th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or MCU. Fox has been working on a reboot following the failure of the 2015 Fantastic Four film, but after Disney acquired Fox, the franchise was handed over to Marvel Studios. The film was officially announced in July 2019 and has been in development since then. Director Matt Shakman is collaborating with writers Jeff Kaplan, Josh Friedman, Ian Springer, Cameron Squires, Peter Cameron, and Eric Pearson. The film aims to present a new story, rather than retell the origin, and will include characters such as Silver Surfer, Mole Man, and Galactus. The cast features Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, known for his role as Oberyn Martell in Game of Thrones, Vanessa Kirby, who gained prominence as Princess Margaret in The Crown, as Sue Storm, Joseph Quinn, recognized for his role as Eddie Munson in Stranger Things, as Johnny Storm, and Ebon Moss-Backrack, best known for playing Richie Jaramovich in The Bear, as Ben Grimm. Additional cast members include Julia Garner as Silver Surfer, Ralph Ineson as Galactus, and Robert Downey Jr., who's expected to portray Victor Von Doom. The film will serve as the first Phase 6 entry in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Marvelous verdict. Comic fans have long complained that film adaptations have consistently failed to capture the essence of the four heroes who launched the Marvel Universe. However, the upcoming 2025 adaptation, with its promising cast, seems to offer a fresh hope. Let's hope this film does justice to the legendary heroes and redeems the franchise by taking a new approach. We eagerly anticipate its release and will share our views as soon as it arrives. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the films and your expectations for the new one in the comments. Would you have liked to see John Krasinski as Reed Richards again? Let us know. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.